Greetings, my friends. Got an interesting section today. We're going to start to hear about enemies of the city. So as you remember, Pranjana is the soul. He finds a city, which is his body. Then he enjoys the city with his queen, which is his intelligence. Now you're going to hear about his enemies. So, Chandavega iti kyato Gandharva dipatir nirpa Gandharvas tasya balina Shashtuttara shatatrayam. A Gandharva king famous by the name Fierce Speed, Chandavega, had an army of 360 pairs of black and white warriors. So this is really interesting stuff. Chandavega itikyato. There's somebody named Chandavega who's kind of famous by the name Chandavega. Gandharva Vadipati. He is the king of Gandharvas. So what's a Gandharva? A Gandharva basically is an angel, actually. They're superhuman life forms. They dwell in Bhuva, which is kind of correlated with the sky or the clouds. And they are very, very expert in the arts. So they always play music. This seems like the kind of Western concept of angel, with a harp, living in a cloud, and always kind of naked, is Gandharva. Arts include sex. So why is this enemy on Gandharva? Because Gandharvas, like Chandavega, like Pranjana. Pranjana wants to enjoy the resources of the city and the world that it surrounds the city. Gandharvas, that's what they are all about. They're all about enjoying life. That's why they're excellent at arts. So they also want to enjoy his resources. So they're going to compete for his resources. And that's what happens in the world. How does conflict arise? Conflict arises when two parties want the same resource, need the same resource. There can be compromise, or there can be conflict. And generally, if compromise can't be reached, then the conflict happens. So that's the story there. That's the meaning there. The Gandharva thing. Why a Gandharva? Because they want to enjoy just like he does, so they're going to conflict. That's why they become enemies. Chandavega is his name. Chanda is a very interesting word. It means something that has a lot of power to it, a lot of speed, a lot of force, a lot of velocity, and it's hot and sharp and passionate. That's what Chanda means. And Vega also means speed and power. So I thought of translating Chandavega as explosive anger, but I think I'm going to go with the translation of fierce speed, because you'll see now. Then it says that this guy has Balina as soldiers, who are also Gandharvas. And how many of them does he have? This is a hint. He has Shashtuttara Shatatraya, 60 plus 300. So he's got 360. Now, does this give you a hint to who Chandavega really is? If he's the enemy of Pranjan's city, and that city is a soul's body, then who is the primary enemy of the body? It's hard to guess. Could be anything. Right? Well, I wonder what it is. But now that you know that he has 360 warriors, and he's called Fierce Speed, Anybody want to take a guess? The next statement is going to really make it clear, but let me see if anybody guesses. Time. What? Good, you're on the right track, Bardo. But it's a little bit even more specific than that. Actually, no, not the moon. Let's look at this next one, and then you'll really get it. The next one I already translated a bit. Gandharvas Tadrashirasya. Wait. Did I miss these words? Oh, here they are. Here they are. Gandharvyas Tadrashirasya Maitunyascha Sita. Parivritya Vilampanti Sarvakama Vinirmita. This should give you the full hint now. Why would it be Mercury? What does Mercury have 360 of, and why would Mercury attack the body? Or the moon? Mary and Bardo, they're on the right track that it's time, but it's more specific than that. Gandharva king, famous by the name Fierce Speed, I guess that's why you think Mercury, has an army of 360 pairs. Maitunyas, his soldiers are paired up. That's weird. The Gandharva soldiers are paired up, and they are Sita Asita pairs. Each pair has one Sita and one Asita. That means black and white, or bright and dark. Does that give you a clue? So there's actually 720 soldiers, but 360 bright ones and 360 dark ones. You're going to slap yourself when you realize how obvious this is, and you're not. Anybody? I really don't want to tell you what this is, because how do you not know? What has 360 of parts? Good oracle. The dark and the light ones are the days and the nights. There's 360 days and nights in a year. So the Chandavega is basically time, like you said, but more specifically, he's the year. And that's why it's interesting that his name moves really fast. Age, not quite, Alf. Age is a product of this. What's going to happen next? Yeah, he's the year. And what did he do? Parivritya, he besieged the city. He surrounds the city. In regular calendars, the year is 360. In modern calendars, the year is 365. The reason why the year is why the difference is, it just depends how you're going to count the irregularity. Whether you stick it, whether you like spread it out across all the months is what we do these days, or in the regular older calendars they would just save all that stuff and put it in an extra week or 2 weeks. But this is why this circle has 360 degrees, because the original concept of circle and year is in 360 parts. But so what does the year do? It surrounds the body, and vilumpanti, it gradually plunders it. It plunders it. Sarvakama vinirmitam. This city that was built to fulfill desires gets surrounded by the soldiers of the year, the days and nights of the year, who try to take its wealth. Actually, it's 2 weeks. They wait for 3 years, and then in Vedic calendar, they wait for 3 years, I think, and then they put in 2 weeks so that they have a special 2 weeks. And it doesn't get that far off synchronization doing it that way. It's, still kind of acceptably synchronized. Yeah, I guess all you guys are not really aware that there's 360 days in an astrological year, but you should be. And also there's 360, actually correctly, there's exactly 360 days, nakshatra days in a year. So it's the amount of time that nakshatras rise over the course of a year. There's 359 point something. Anyway, I'll read you this translation again. A Gandharva king famous by the name Fierce Speed, Chandavega, had an army of 360 pairs of black and white warriors. They besieged the city built to satisfy desires, intent on plundering it. So that's what's going on with our bodies and time. Te Chandaveganachara Puranjana Puram Yada Hartum Are Bhire Tatra Pratyashedhat Prajagara. When they attacked the citizen city, or it could be as they attacked the citizen city, a sleepless guard appeared to defend it. Do you remember who this sleepless guard is? What does he look like? You were introduced to this sleepless person quite a few weeks ago when we first met the queen. When Puranjana first saw the queen, as soon as he looked at her, this sleepless guard, this 5-headed serpent came to protect her. And then Puranjana said, what is this snake? She said, I don't really know, but he never sleeps and he always protects the city that we built. So this is who they're talking about. So what's going on here is when they attacked the citizens' city, a sleepless guard appeared to defend it. What's going on with our body is we exist in the world, trying to enjoy the world, but the world is also wearing us out. The effect of the passing of days and nights wears down the city, wears down the body. But the city has its own vital force, which is this sleepless guard who defends the city against the passage of time. So we have this vitality or vital energy that prevents the passing of the days and the nights from having adverse effect on the body. Sa saptabhi shaktayar eko vimshatya cha shatam sama Puranjana puradhyaksho gandharvair yudhe bali. How well does our guard fight? No, Alberto. Ernst Willem doesn't calculate nakshatras on the ecliptic. And this is where it gets all wacky. He calculates them on the equator. No, Xena is not dreams, but he does stay awake all the time. The sleepless guard is the prana. Remember, the serpent is the life, the vital force. And we talked about why there's 5 heads, because there's 5 vital forces in the body. Our vital forces, which really are fueled by oxygen, our vital forces are the things that energize the city. They energize the body to allow it to withstand the impact of time. How well can we fight? How well does our defender fight? When they attacked Citizen City, a sleepless guard appeared to defend it. He was so powerful that he could defend the city for 100 years, fighting alone against 720. One warrior can fight off 720 warriors for 100 years. That's how powerful your own vital force is. And that's how you're able to live for up to 100 years. Because the vitality, we always say that time is a very powerful force. Time is all powerful. But you're also pretty powerful. You can withstand the effects of time for decades and for up to about 100 years. And it's just you against all the forces of time. So it's pretty, your vital force is very powerful, so take good care of it. Vital force gets broken by improper breathing. So having a lot of stress and worry where you're not breathing nicely will ruin your vital force. But taking the time to just be calm and breathe nicely, deeply, will revitalize your vital force. That'll keep you alive for a long time. You'll look young, you'll feel healthy up until old age. So this guy is great. So this is good. The city has enemies, but the city also has a defender. The enemies surround the city with 720 black and white soldiers and attack it, but this amazing Naga serpent defender just fights them all off. That's the story so far. Kshiyamane swasambande ekasmin bahubir yuda chintam param jagamartha sa rashtra purabandava. Gradually, though, as the fight wears on through the years, the guard weakened. Seeing this, the king and the citizens, seeing this, the king and the citizens get chintam param. They get very worried. So when you're young, the vitality is very, very fresh. So a young person fights off disease really, really well. A young person fights off the effects of time really well. Young people recover from being tired very fast. They recover from sickness very fast. The older you get, the longer your recovery period is after you do something that injures you or tires you out. Because the vital force is weakening from having to deal with fighting 720 soldiers every year. As you get to middle age, it starts to cross the halfway point. So as you're getting into the late 40s, early 50s, you start to notice that there's a war going on. You start to notice that time is having an effect on your body, because it's having an effect more often than not now. When you're below the halfway mark on your lifespan, you feel like, sometimes I feel exhausted and weak and sick, but most of the times not. Most of the times I'm just raring to go. I'm ready. And as you cross the halfway point, it starts to become the opposite. Sometimes I'm feeling great, but most of the time something's wrong. Weak, tired, headache, something. So as we notice that, we start to worry. Oh my God, I'm going to die? Am I going to be sick? Am I going to be able... Actually, what we worry is, am I going to enjoy life? Am I going to be able to have fun? I don't think I can have fun. I'm sick again. I'm too tired. So this is what it's saying here. Seeing that the guardian of the city starts to weaken over time, Paranjana and his citizens, which are the different functions in the body, they start to get very worried. So what do? This next part's very interesting. Saeva Puryam Madhubuk Panchaleshu Svaparshadai Upanitam Balam Grihnan Srijito Navidad Bhayam. So what he does is he builds up his army. What Pranjana does is he says, "Ooh, my guardian of the city used to be able to fight alone and defeat all these Gandharvas that are trying to take my happiness. But now he's starting to weaken and lose some of the battles. And sometimes they're damaging the city. There's splotches on my skin. They're damaging the wall. They attacked my towers, and now my vision went bad. What he does, remember that the city is surrounded by Panchala, by 5 provinces, or the province of 5, which I now think I should probably say is 5 provinces. And his kids went out there and populated it. Well, what he does now is he draws taxes and soldiers from the population of the surrounding cities to come and defend his city. So what do you think? And by so doing, he gets his strength back so that he can keep strijita, so that he can keep enjoying pleasures, so that he can keep enjoying his material life and not be afraid, not vidat bhayam. He will ignore his fear and keep his head in a pillow because he got soldiers from somewhere else to come and help his guard. So what is that? That's medicine. As you get old, your medicine cabinet gets more and more full. You have more and more medicines, and whether they're holistic or not holistic, whatever they are, you take more and more trouble, whether it's Ayurvedic or just like super chemical drugs. You take more and more help from stuff outside of your body to try to keep your vital energy strong. Why? Because you don't want to be afraid that time is having a bad effect on your body and making you die. Why? Because you're attached to enjoying life through your body. Strijita, you're conquered by the pleasures of your life, and you don't want to even think about living without them. So Viagra, you take Viagra, now you got your vitality back again. Or you take pills, you take vitamins, whatever it is you take, and you feel young again. And this way you can forget that you're getting old, which is not at all a smart thing to do because you're getting old. You shouldn't try to forget what's actually happening. It's not a good thing. So, and this is the same way that the king dealt with the problem of their strip mining the 5 provinces. Remember that his children went out and populated the 5 provinces, or like not populated them, but like took over the 5 provinces and then just utilized all the resources for their own happiness and dried out all the resources. And how did the king react to that? Instead of saying, yo, you got to be more balanced and live better with the provinces, he said, oh, let's artificially inflate the economy. Let's do all these rituals and magic that we know from the Vedas to prop up the agriculture and prop up the wealth and bring more resources in. And gradually they have to worship more and more, do more and more dangerous and difficult rituals, and they wind up doing horrific rituals to maintain the sense that they can just enjoy everything that they want all the time. And that's the same way that he deals with his old age. He comes to midlife and he thinks, I don't want to be old. And look, I can get herbs and ginseng and all this stuff from the fields that will make my city strong again. And that's what he does. Thank you, Christine. Bardo says, so prana equals life force. No wonder people want to learn all sorts of Kundalini tricks. Exactly. Get some Botox. Can we stretch our prana resources? Yes, you can, actually. You can do that. This is why there are some people who legitimately live way past 100 years. And it has to do with carefully controlling the diet and the food. Carefully controlling the diet and the breathing. However, if you're carefully controlling the diet and the breathing, you won't be having a lot of sex. And you won't be eating at fancy restaurants, right? You'll be spending your time carefully controlling your diet and your food. So it's really not a win-win situation. It's a trade-off. If you're interested in enjoying life, so you want to keep living a long time, the breath control and the diet and all that is going to be too much of a sacrifice. So actually, the people that do these things to extend their life, they usually don't do it for the reason that they want to just enjoy life for a long time. They usually do it because they want to complete their study of something, or they want to complete their practice of some discipline. They won't have enough time for that. And also, people need to be really careful with these Kundalini things that they learn, because you actually can... your body is naturally going to manufacture its own vital force. But if you mess with it, you might screw up its ability to manufacture it. And then you have to totally supply it from outside. So there's no way out of this system that you have about 100 years to live if you live healthy. There's no way out of it. Okay, so to read what we've done so far. A Gandharva king famous by the name Fierce Speed, Chandavega, had an army of 360 pairs of black and white warriors. They besieged the city, built to satisfy desires, because they were intent on plundering it. When they attacked the citizen city, a sleepless guard appeared to defend it. He was so powerful that he could defend the city for 100 years, fighting alone against 720. Gradually, though, as the fight wore on through the years, the guard weakened. Seeing this, the king and citizens of the city became very worried. Recruiting soldiers from the 5 surrounding provinces to aid his guard, the king was able to ignore his fears and continue enjoying with his wife. So that's basically the tale of the king's fight against this Gandharva king, Chandavega. But now, a new enemy appears. The daughter of time, Kalasya Duhita. Maybe this is Chandavega's daughter. This is the effect. The child is the effect, right? The parent is the cause, the child is the effect. So the daughter of time is now the effect of the passing of these years. So this Kalasya Duhita appears. So now Narada is going to kind of stop the story of this battle with the city and tell you more about Kala Duhita, the daughter of time. Kala Kanya. Kalasya Duhita Kachit Trilokim Varam Ichati Paryatanti na Barhishman Pratyanandata Kashchana. The daughter of time wanted to marry and was searching the 3 worlds for a husband. So the daughter of time is old age. Age is what Alf said before, age. So age is the effect. Chandavega's armies produce this new enemy called age, or the daughter of time. Now she's looking for somebody to marry. Old age wants to join with somebody. no one anywhere would accept her proposal. Nobody wants to marry old age. Poor girl. Durbhagyen atmano loke vishruta durbhagheti sa yatushta rajarshe tu vatadat purave varam. It was well known that she could bless anyone who accepted her, as she had once done with King Puru. But still no one wanted her, because the world knew her as Durbhaga, which means bad luck, and thought that she was inauspicious, Durbhagyena. This is very interesting, and it requires a little bit of a backstory of who is King Puru. Puru is the son of some king who got a curse to become old right away. And then this king was so greedy that he didn't want to be old. So he had 7 kids, I think, and he asked his kids who were young, can one of you give me your youth and take my old age? And they all were like, that's really not cool. But this one child named Puru said, sure, I'll do that. And because Puru accepted old age voluntarily, old age blessed him and gave him great wisdom, as well as made him the king of the kingdom. So the lesson there is, if you fight old age and deny it and fear it, then you'll be harmed by it. But if you marry old age, if you accept old age, then she blesses you with wisdom. People know that. You know that already. You didn't hear this for the first time. But you still don't want to get old. Because who wants wisdom? We want fun. So people know that she'll bless the person who she marries, but because she looks misfortunate, they don't want her. That's the point. The daughter of time wanted to marry and was searching the 3 worlds for a husband. No one anywhere would accept her proposal. It was well known that she could bless anyone who accepted her, because she had once done so with King Puru. But still no one wanted her, because the world knew her as misfortune and thought that she was inauspicious. Interesting stuff. Now he says, Kdachit atmanasa brahmalokam mahim gatam vavre brihadvratam mam tu kyanati kamamohita. Once, now this Narada is talking, he says, once when I came to earth, she thought I was immortal and proposed marriage to me. So Narada is now saying she was looking everywhere for a husband. Nobody wanted her. Then once she saw me because I came to earth, and she came and she asked me to be her husband. Even when she learned that I had Brihadvrata, so that even when she learned that I had a vow that I would never marry, a vow of celibacy, her lust for me would not abate. She became furious with me for rejecting her and pronounced a powerful curse. Since you refuse me, you will never settle in one place, she said. And Narada actually welcomed this curse because he likes to move. He doesn't need to settle in one place. He likes to move around, and this gives him more freedom to move around. Now, this is also very interesting about the character of a good person like Narada Muni. This woman comes to him and says, be my husband. And he says, I can't. I have a vow of never marrying. He keeps his vow. You have to keep your initial promise. Even though your subsequent duty could be that you have to take care of this person who needs you, that taking care of that person who needs you can't break a previous promise that you have. You can't accept a new duty that would break a previous duty. This is very interesting. So he says, no, I can't. She gets really angry with him. He doesn't get angry back at her. She curses him. He doesn't resist it. He's happy that she cursed him. He sees something good in it. And then he responds by trying to help her in whatever way he can. So this is the next statement, is he gave her some good advice. He says, Mai samrabhya vipula padachchapam. Wait, this is it. This is where she curses him. This is where she curses him. This is the curse, if you want to hear it in Sanskrit. Mai samrabhya vipula madachchapam sudushaham statu marasi naikatra madyancha vimuko ne. That was her curse. And his reaction is, Tato vihata sankalpa kanyaka yavaneshwaram mayopadishtam asadya vavrenamna bhayam patim. So he gave her some upadesh. Upadesh means some help, some instruction. Even though she got mad at him, he didn't get mad back at her. He still tried to help her. He said, even though I can't marry you, I agree, you should be married. I think I know a good husband for you. So he says, since she was so disappointed, I suggested that she approached the foreign king named Fear. This is Yavana Eshwara. Yavana means a foreigner. Like technically in India, the close foreigners were called Yavanas, and the further ones were called Mlechas. The close ones were like the ones that are in Persian and Mediterranean, and that Persian that trades a lot with Mediterranean are Yavanas. And then beyond that, the Arabs were called Mlechas. So technically that's what Yavana means, but basically Yavana means foreign. It's interesting that this king is foreign. So he's not from the culture where everybody is rejecting her. He's from a different culture. He might accept her. And also, his name is Bhaya. His name is Fear. He thinks, I know a good husband for you, your old age. Your husband should be Fear. Now, fear is foreign. It's not a natural part of life. Fear is a foreign king. Fear is what happens when something is not right. That's another reason why he's called the Yavana Eshwara. He's a foreign king. Rishabam Yavanam Tvam Rene Virepshitam Patim Sankalpas Tvai Bhutanam Krita Kila Narishati. She liked that idea. He said, I think I know where you'll find your husband. Go to the land of Yavanas, go out of this country and find the king named Fear. He'll be a good husband for you. She liked the idea. She went to him and she said, O leader of foreigners, I have made up my mind. I want you as my husband. Anyone who becomes friendly with you is never baffled. That's interesting. Fear, we all think fear is a foreigner. Well, you'll wind up fighting wars with foreigners. So we always struggle against fear. We don't want it to come into our country. We don't want to be afraid. But we get we actually are afraid of being afraid, is really what it comes down to. And if we actually make a relationship with fear, then we don't get troubled by it. They're foreign countries that we have harmonious relationships with. Why? Because we have relationships with them. We have marriage with them. We give them something they want, they give us something we want. Similarly, if you make peace with fear, then you won't be scared. This is why the best way not to be scared is to go ahead and talk about the thing that you're scared about, experience the thing that you're scared about, deal with the thing that you're scared about, instead of sitting in a corner or sitting in your closet or sitting in a dark room and being scared of it and hoping that it goes away. So she said, I like the idea of marrying you. I want to marry you. Anybody who aligns themselves with you doesn't get confused, doesn't get baffled, doesn't get scared. So I want to be your wife. Now I wonder what he's going to say. What does he say? You think he's going to accept her? It's actually very confusing. He's going to kind of be baffling and sort of accept her and sort of not. Oh, she's not done. She has an argument. She says, this one is really good. Dvavimav anusochanti bala vasad avagraho yaloka shastropanantam narati natarichti. This argument that she gives is very similar to Kapila's mother and father's marriage. When Devahuti's father tried to see if Kardama was interested in marrying Devahuti, he told her this basic same thing. Do you remember what he told her? What he told the sage Kardama, he said something like, if you don't accept something that comes to you easily, then later on you disgrace yourself by begging for it. So she says something very similar to that. O leader of foreigners, I've made up my mind. I want you as my husband. Anyone who becomes friendly with you is never baffled. The king of fear hesitated, so the daughter of time cautioned him. There are two sad mistakes that foolish people make. One is not to give what they should give. The other is not to take what they should take. This is such a good instruction. It even sort of rhymes in English. There are two sad mistakes that foolish people make. These two sad mistakes. There's two things that will make you sad. There are mistakes that will make you sad. And you're foolish if you make them. There are two sad mistakes that foolish people make. One is to not give what they should give. And two is to not take what they should take. Many people, when they think of being good and stuff, they think that they should give. But you should also be able to accept what you should accept. Many people cannot accept compliments. Many people cannot accept love. Many people cannot accept advice. Many people cannot accept a gift because of their huge ego that's unknown to them, actually. It's just as bad as not being able to give what you're supposed to give is not being able to accept what you're supposed to accept. So then she continues. Ato bhajasvamam bhadra bhajantim me dayam kuru etavan paurusho dharmo yad arthan anukampate. So you should give me what I should be given, and you should accept what is being offered to you. I am offering my love to you. Bhajantim me. I'm offering you my love. You should accept it. And you should give me what should be given. What should be given? You must reciprocate the affections of anyone in need, for that is the duty of a man. Etavan paurusho dharma, the duty of a man is yet arthan anukampate, to be compassionate upon a person who needs help. Someone who's artha, they need something. The male duty is to provide that, provide what somebody needs. Anukampante, they should feel compassionate for what people need. Well, she says, I need a husband. I need you. You should give it. It's your duty. You're a man. You should give help to people that need help. And I'm offering you myself, my love. You should take it. That's also your duty. So now what happens? What do you think the king does? Kalakan yodita vacho, nishamya yavaneshvara, chikirshur deva kuyamsa, sasmitan tam apashata. He became kind of happy. Sasmita. He started to smile a little bit. He spoke now with a smile after thinking about it. Listening carefully to her. He listened carefully. Kala kanyodita vacho nishamya. He listened to what she said carefully. The king of fear then saw an opportunity to become Devaguya Chikush, to become the agent of divinity or the agent of fate. And that made him smile. Oh, I can do something important. Which he's looking for. He's fear. He's a little bit tired of making people cower. He wants to do something helpful. So now he sees, I can do something important that's needed. I can join with this woman, old age. The combination of fear and old age. Very powerful. So the king saw the opportunity to become an agent of mysterious fate, and he replied with a smile. What did he say? Maya. Then what he says is very mysterious. It's hard to figure out. I thought about it for some time. He doesn't quite accept her, but he doesn't quite not accept her. Maya nirupitas tubhyam patiratma samadhina. Maybe this means I have agreed to become your husband. Na bhinnandati lokoyam. I think I maybe have just worked it out. It always helps when you talk to people. Tam abhadram asamatam. So here's what I have as translation. I thought about this carefully and decided on your husband. It might be, I've thought about this carefully and decided to be your husband. And then he'll say, and now, what about all these people who rejected you? It's a toss-up between what he's saying. Maybe he's saying, I decided who should be your husband. Everyone should be your husband. It seems like he's saying that, and that's one of the connotations of what he's saying. You shouldn't just marry one person your old age. You should marry everybody. But the other connotation of what he's saying is, I'll be your husband, and we're going to deal with these people who rejected you and made you feel like junk. Hope we're still on. Yeah. All of these people reject you because they think you are vile and inauspicious. Because of this, they should be punished, and you should have revenge. I think she's gonna like this guy. Listen, that's actually pretty awesome. She comes to him and she says, I want you to be my husband. Well, obviously, she went through a lot of difficulty because she's going to a foreigner. That means she had to travel really far. That means she had no luck up till now. So he says, you know what? I'll accept you. Well, let's deal with all these people that rejected you. Let's get revenge. She wondered how, so he explained. Next text. Tvam avyakta gatir bhunksva lokam karma vinirmita. This is the key. Karma vinirmita. This is how the old age is able to attack people. Yahi me pratana yukta prajanasham praneshati. They are obsessed, he explained, with accomplishing goals through their work. That's what karma vinirmita means. Bhunksva, they want to enjoy by doing work. But karma depends upon time. Action depends upon time. An activity performed now gives a result in the next moment. So if we're obsessed with accomplishing goals, we're going to be subservient to time. If we're subservient to time, then the effect of time, old age, can have dominance over us. So he says this is their weakness. They're absorbed in karma. That makes them subservient to time. You're the daughter of time. You got this. They are obsessed with accomplishing goals through their work. This requires time, which allows you to attack them, to destroy them, he actually says. But now she still hesitates and wonders, well, if I try to attack them, they're going to attack me back. What about that? They're not going to just sit there and accept old age. They're going to come up with Botox. They're going to come up with Viagra. They're going to come up with cures for cancer. They're going to come up with cures for leukemia. They're going to come up with miracle drugs, vaccines. They're going to come up with all kinds of medicine and stuff. Whatever it is, yoga, breathing, good Ayurveda, they're going to come up with it to attack me, to kill me, to get me out of there. What do I do about that? So Yavana King replies, Prajvaro yam mama bhrata, tvam cha me bhagini bhava, charam yubhabayam lokesmin, avyakto bhima shainika. He says, look, this is my brother. Fever, Prajvara. Prajvara is fever and all the heat and the fire that's required for destruction. They say that the fever of 108 degrees is intolerable. And that if the fever goes to 108, death becomes very, very imminent. So Prajvara is associated with that temperature, 108 Fahrenheit. I think it's 42 Celsius. But not, that's in the body, the fire in the body that will cause death. There's just fire also that causes destruction. And then there's universal fire that destroys realms and worlds. That's called Prajvara. The one who brings fire, Prajvara. This is my brother. Fear has a brother named Fever. You, he says to Kalakanya, the old age, you are now my sister. That is also confusing. Did they marry her? Did he tell her to marry his brother? It's confusing. But now he says, look, we're going to be a team, the three of us. So maybe this is a three-way marriage. The three of us, fear, anger, and fever, fear, age, and fever, shall roam the world invisibly with our terrible soldiers, destroying these fools who ignore you. So they team up. This is the team. It's fear. Fear baffles people and confuses them. Fever becomes insurmountable no matter how much medicine you have. Fear makes you confused and not do the right things. And then this age just comes and devours you. The three of them together are an unstoppable army. And that's the end of the whole chapter, actually. It's not the end of the description of the enemies of Puranjana, because now they're going to attack Puranjana. So to summarize, what we got here was Gandharva king Chandavega, the fast mover, who's a year. He's symbolic of a year. He has 360 soldiers. He has 720 soldiers, half of whom are black, half of whom are white. The days and nights of the days of the year. He attacks Puranjana's city from the moment it was created, but the serpent of vitality and breath fights off their effect. But as the years go by, the serpent gets weaker and weaker, and at around midpoint, he starts to get a little too weak to keep these people at bay, and they start to affect the city. So the king deals with that by pulling soldiers from surrounding areas, which is like us getting medicine and stuff like that. However, what the army of Chandavega produces a new enemy called old age. The passing of the time produces old age. Narada tells a little story about her, about how she got her army. She got her army because she was looking for a husband. She wound up meeting Narada. Narada told her to go meet Fear. Fear accepted her and paired her up with his brother. And now Fear, Fever, and Age have an army that's going to come and attack Puranjana's city. That's the story for this week. Any questions about it? Marie asks if it's an ancient example of polyamory. Polyamory is everywhere in all ancient tales. The one that's a little bit less frequent is polyandry. Polyandry is where one woman has many husbands. Usually polyamory has one man having many wives, polygamy, because a woman takes 9 months to bear a child. So even if you're just making a baby once a month, you could have 9 women. One man could have 9 women, and it works well. Because remember, in ancient times, children are not a liability, they're an asset. We want to have a lot of kids. So usually it just works out that way. But occasionally it works out that one woman is so qualified, or by some circumstance, one woman marries multiple men. That's called polyandry. It's less frequent, but you'll see it. Arjuna, Bhima, Bhishma, Nakula, and Sahadev, these 5 brothers, they all married one woman. Draupadi. And then here you have Kalakanya, who appears to be married to these 2 brothers. And also, you might also think this is weird, but this happens a lot too. And it happens both in polygamy and polyandry. Because people grow up together, they know each other very well, they know how to cooperate. So often they marry the same person. So for example, I think it's Daksha, he marries 13 daughters. 13 sisters. He marries 13 sisters. It's often like that. Because these sisters are already used to working together and being together. Similarly, when a woman has more than one husband, they're often brothers. I know this might sound crazy to everybody that lives nowadays in this monogamous ideal kind of world, where monogamy isn't ideal, but this was common in ancient times. Antikrish Sharma wants to know, how are the Gandharvas connected to Kala? Because the Gandharvas are the competitors to Puranjana. The Gandharva is the one who wants to enjoy life. They're great dancers. They know all Kama Sutra. They know everything about music. They know everything. They enjoy life to the apex. That's Gandharva Loka. That's the whole allure of Gandharva Loka. It's way better than Earth, if you're interested in parties. But that's basically the human mindset too, is to try to live like a Gandharva. So they compete. They're the ones who are going to compete with Puranjana for the resources. They want to enjoy the world. Puranjana wants to enjoy the world. That's why they became enemies. Yeah, this is very interesting. Fear, time, and fever. Fear, age, and fever. Polyandry. Okay, that's all then. Curiouser and curiouser. What is Xena saying? Very nice, Xena. This is not actually unusual at all. Xena brought up the point. This is interesting. This woman is going out and finding a husband. Now, it's actually not interesting in the least because it's completely normal. But the interesting part is that we find it interesting because all the people who have explained things and the way that culture has gone completely away from that. I mean, of course, Western culture is a completely different train track, but Indian culture, Vedic culture has become so Christian and Muslim that it's hardly Vedic at all anymore. And as a result, the status of women has become so diminished. And the agency of women has been so withheld. But this is the norm, constantly the norm. The woman picks a husband. We will read through the whole Bhagavatam, and you see if you find one case where the woman doesn't pick her husband. And we've already read from 1 to 4, so why don't you just go back and look through, go through all the streams that we covered. See if you find one case where the woman doesn't choose her husband, where a husband is chosen for her, or where a man chooses the woman. You won't find a case. Why does she want to be married? People want to be married. Okay, guys. Oh, wait. Why do people lose their vitality prematurely? As I said, if you don't nourish it, then you lose it. If you live incorrectly, then you'll lose your vitality. It's mostly by being anxious and worried that the prana doesn't work right. So if you make efforts to be calm, then your vitality will probably restore. Thank you very much, everybody. See you next week.